Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. It's time for another episode of Come On Ref. I've got most of the normal people with me. We have a special guest for you guys. I'm really excited today. Jackson, I'm going to go to Jackson real quick. Jackson, just tell us who our special guest is, man. Let the people know who we got today.
Well, some of you see him, you probably know who he is, but if you don't know, this here is ESPN 850 / Good Karma Brands product, Fox 8 News contributor, Valley Sports contributor, former Browns beat reporter, 5-time Emmy winner for work on Indians and Guardians baseball. He's worked with legends like Kenny Rhoda, Bruce Drennan, Tony Rizzo, Aaron Goldhammer, Emmett Golden, Jared, list goes on. He's a 1996 graduate of St. V.
Those are the legends.
It's a legend in the making right here next to you. 1996 graduate of St. Vincent St. Mary, Akron, Ohio, KSU alumnus. He's number 7 all-time rushing yards in St. V history. It's number 7 all-time rushing. 4-time letter winner with football and baseball. 2018 St. V Hall of Fame honors. Former Autobot in the War of Cybertron. Do you guys feel me here? This is the current face of the Guardians and voice. Ladies and gentlemen, baby moms and felons, just another kid from West Akron. Let's hear it for Andre freaking Knott.
Wow. Yeah. That's nerve-wracking, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
I felt like I was,
long list of accolades.
hey,
Right
I was bringing in Apollo Creed there.
Can I say one thing about the legends? Then I'll go. Fine, the list is great.
You're on it.
Joe Tate, I got to work with. I've got to work with. I just got Jim Donovan. I've worked with everybody that I grew up emulating, wanted to be around. And it's one of the most precious things that have ever happened to me. Mike Snyder, one of the most important people in my career. When you listen to Cavs games and listen to pregame, postgame. No offense to anybody on that list, but there's some people that have truly. I've got supposedly. Here's the one that you could have put on there. Not for me. Supposedly, I'm the only person in Cleveland sports history to be on sidelines for all 3 teams. So
That would be correct, though.
It is correct. I didn't do it purposely, but I've been. Here's the one thing I gotta say. I got to work, and I can tell the stories we get a little close around it. I got to work right next to Joe Tate for a good 6 seasons, and it changed my life. I've gotten to work with Tom Hamilton, and that's helped change my life. Jim Donovan, I've been able to work with. Those 3 people are 3 voices, 3 names, along with Mike Snyder, that have changed my life, and it was because I kept my mouth shut and I listened and I watched how they prepared and did their jobs.
That's awesome.
Those are the legends. Those other names are just. Now, Kenny Rhoda, I learned how to write notes and learn how to interview people. Here's a Kenny Rhoda story that I'll tell you guys when I produced for him. I would tell him the night before a game or night before a show, I would be like, hey, we're having Mark Price on. He would show up the next day with a notepad like that with like 10 questions written down for Mark Price. And for anybody that goes through any of this, I don't do that personally in my own life, but it taught me how to be prepared for anything that's going to be there. So I may know I'm going to interview somebody. Like I know I'm going to interview somebody from the Guardians later today. I have notes in my phone. I don't go off of them, but it was a lesson that I learned to be prepared no matter what's thrown at you. And a lot of people walk in interviews and they're like, oh, I know this guy. I know his batting average. Well, that's different than actually knowing where's he from. And I'll stop and I'll let you start the show. The one rule that I have learned, and when you go into a locker room, there's 53 guys in a football team. You should know 53 stories. Meaning, quickly, where did the guy go to high school? Where did he go to college? Who are the rivals that they had? They all have them. And that's easy conversation to start with anyone that you want to interview so they open up themselves. If you just go up to a player or anyone else, if I just go up to every one of you guys with a microphone, and I don't introduce myself, I just say, I'm Steve from wherever. And I just start asking you questions. Are you going to give me genuine answers? Or unless I come up and actually meet you, shake your hand, talk to you, say where you're from. Hey, I got a buddy that went to Duke. Those are little things that can help you get a lot further. I'll stop.
Golden. And he's wrong. The show started. Obviously, the show started. This guy's loaded, man. I don't even know how we're going to do this now. It's like, this is amazing, though. Like, this dude really, when he brings it, he brings it. But I'm honored. The one thing I left off the list was this is my first cousin. So this is a huge moment for Come On Ref, for Jackson, for OMS, for everybody involved. I just want to thank you all for allowing me to bring this guy in. And I want to thank him for creating the time and space in your busy universe to deal with us who are trying to get possibly to where and beyond you're at, you know?
Hey, this is all a part of it. I mean, I've sat in these rooms before, and I think anytime you can talk to someone and ask where you want to go, it's extraordinary, but you got to take something from it. And I think a lot of times we all think we know, but we don't know. And I think for a lot of us, it was a lot of sacrifice early on where I had to shut my mouth and kind of take it in and learn and let your personality come out after people get to know you. My one thing was 20-some years ago was I just want to get into the K&R. And this is dead honest serious. I was like, I just want to get into the K&R studios and let them know me. And like by letting them know me, like I worked the overnights, Friday and Saturday nights to start my career. Like, and when I was 21 years old, it sucked. All my friends were out. I worked on hunting and fishing shows, but because I did stupid stuff like that, and people didn't show up to work, I got to start working like pregame stuff. And here's another one. Like my first year at K&R, way back, the Ohio State Buckeyes were playing a national championship game, and we had a guy that was hired 6 months before me, and his job was to run the board. He wanted to watch the national championship game, so he called off. Oh, never worked in the business ever again.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
But just remember that there's people. He wanted it. He wanted it as bad as I wanted it. They didn't ask me to work it, but I did. Like, I mean, but I learned in that moment in time. If you really want to be in this, you have to sacrifice things that are important, whether it's hanging out with friends, whether it's going certain places, and it pays off in the long run. Because I see that dude. I still run by that dude, and he works for an ice cream. Like, he delivers ice, and then against that, he's happy, he's married, got kids, but he still wishes he would have took his butt to work that night and not did what he did.
Yeah.
You know, what's amazing, this wisdom is coming from an Ohio Center for Broadcasting student, graduate, former alumni. That's another thing he's a graduate of. So this potential came right through the same doors that we have. So I hope that's something inspirational for you all to know, wow,
Absolutely.
I'm in the same playing field and starting grounds as this guy.
This place worked for me because I went through Kent and got through Kent, but I was afraid to say. I was afraid. And I was afraid to put myself out there. And I remember the first shows I did, I had friends, cousins, they were like, you're not yourself. And that is the most difficult thing, I think, in being radio, television, any of these things, to find your true voice. And obviously, we all want to talk like we talk amongst friends, but to find the balance on air of being professional and finding your true voice and who you are is difficult, and you need reps. And I was afraid in college because I didn't want to be nervous. I didn't want the girls I liked to hear me say stupid stuff. I'm being 100% honest. And coming here made me realize I had to get rid of my cool to find who I truly wanted to be. And it still didn't make it easier, but it made it 10 times easier to come here, learn the craft. And I've told my cousin this, and it's the last thing I'll say, and let's talk some college basketball, and I'll interweave as we go. I always wanted to be on air. The one thing I learned, and you guys got to learn this before you leave here, and he knows I've told him this, you got to learn about behind the scenes. Just because you want to be on the air, it's awesome. But you need to learn how to produce, you need to learn how to cut sound, you need to learn how to run a camera. You got to do all those things, because I'm telling you guys, I would not be where I'm at today without learning all those other things here. And it's made me better, because when I do now, I was just talking to one of my producers on the way here for baseball games. And there was an interview with Stephen Vogt that ran yesterday. And because I understand his job a little bit, I'm able to say, hey, Steve, when we get to this point of the conversation, can you cut this and overlap it here? I can speak his game to him. And he can, so that way it makes my job so much easier. If he tells me he has an out time at a certain time, that I can understand that. I think more people that do all the roles and understand the roles are better. And I'll tell you what, some of the happiest people I deal with in this business are not on camera and are not on air. They are behind the scenes and the most important people that we have. Whether it's camera guys, they last longer than people on air. Whether it's editors, these people, you may see their names at the end of the edits, but sometimes they're happier and they last longer than the people on air. So and there's nothing wrong with being behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, as soon as they fire me, I'll go behind the scenes and you'll never see me again. I'll be happy.
I love you, man. You're bringing the fire today. You're bringing the smoke. I love it. This is better.
Don't say it's better than class.
I'm just saying this is better than I even anticipated it being. It's like we got a great show lineup, and you really kicked it. I'm pretty sure we ran the kickoff back. Yeah. Can we agree on that? Yeah. Great start to the show. We ran the kickoff back. Okay.
And Ray Small didn't jump on us and hurt our ankle, so I think we're good. I think we're good to go, right? We can play the rest of the game.
It wasn't Ray Small, though. It was the dude from Brush.
Was it Ray Small?
No, man. Come on,
I've been blaming him for years for that.
Ray Small was small, and he was from Glenville. It was a dude from Brush. LeBron's mom almost beat his mom's butt. Come on now. You want to dig deep? I'll dig you in the garage. Come on now. Don't play with me.
I love it. I love it, man. Hey, well, listen, we left off one group of legendary people you've gotten to work with, and it's our production. We couldn't do this without the people who help produce our show, man. Like you said, the people behind the scenes are, I mean, they're, you can't do it without them, man. So
absolutely. And it makes you better on air. It does. I swear. If you understand where cameras are shooting, if you understand all those other things, it makes things work. Like I will never go. He'll tell you. All I ever tell him is like, dude, learn how to do everything else. Yeah. Because at some point in time, a year ago at this time, I was in the Dominican Republic last January, and I had about as many people as we have in this truck to do a production, and we weren't allowed to bring certain cameras. We weren't allowed to do certain things. And yeah, this is a documentary on Jose Ramirez that it was my idea, and I'd ran through Jose, but it only worked because I was able to do more than one job. That I was able to understand the lighting. Like there's like people don't understand. Like I had my 4'11" wife and one of our other camera guys that we brought. They're holding up cameras and signs and like because that's what you have to do if you want to make something work. So learn all that other stuff and don't ever feel like you're belittled in learning any of those things or doing any of those things.
Yeah. Agreed. You gotta learn from the ground up, right? I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Well, hey, we hope you're not nervous here, with us today. We're pretty legendary ourselves, but we're not nervous. We hope you're going to be okay. No, we appreciate you coming on, man. I want to get to headlines real quick, though. Just real quick, MLS playoffs. Ohio flavor all over the place, right? Cincinnati, Columbus, in the Eastern Conference Final at TQL Stadium in Cincinnati. Winner of that game is going to take on the winner of LA and Houston, the MLS Cup. So, we're going to have an Ohio team in the MLS Cup. That's exciting, right? That's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
Go ahead.
I think it is exciting because here's my thing. It gives more jobs in the media for guys like you guys. Yeah. And it gives you guys a better understanding of like what pro sports is becoming. I had a buddy that went down to Cincinnati and actually helped put all their production together. So I would ask you guys, you grew up playing hockey, knowing that there's a soccer team that's down in Cincinnati or Columbus. How much would that excite you to go do play-by-play for one of those? And what would you be willing to learn about soccer? And does that mean that it's growing in America?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When I started this program, Ben had a segment, and the first couple shows, I kind of was like, I'm looking at him like, this is a waste of space. It's a down part of the show. Nobody cares. But just listening to him on the segments made me prepare different for the show. I started becoming more of able to ask Ben a question. Then I started being able to actually inject an opinion. So as far as soccer growing, just me personally, I'm feeling it. I like the idea. I was a kid from the Cleveland Force and Canton Invaders and the Cleveland Crunch era. I'm not Kai Husky. Yeah, man. Kit Carson, Tattoo, all them dudes. I remember MISL vividly. So it's good to see this now in my adult years. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, for sure. I missed the kicking it with Benny section, man. That was a good one.
That's what they call it. I like it.
That's what we called it. I want to move on to just again headlines, man. Buckeye hoops, man. They were number 17 Alabama, but they won the Emerald Coast Classic, right? Beat Alabama 92-81 last Friday. Buckeyes are sitting at 4-1 right now. Look pretty good on the season. Maybe there's some hope there. I don't know. I know people feel how they feel about Holtman, but I think he's doing a great job. I don't know. Could they win the Big Ten? Maybe. Do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean they're third in the Big Ten right now. They're doing a great job. They're in the Big Ten. They're 40% shooting from the 3-point line right now. That's 15th in all of college basketball. So they're doing it from deep, and if they keep doing that, then they're gonna win this Big Ten conference.
I'm not sure if they can get past Purdue this season. Purdue's, coming off last year losing to that first round was so tough. I think they're going to be back with a vengeance this year. They're number 1 ranked right now. I think Purdue is still the best team in this conference, but Ohio State, I mean, they're looking better this season than they have in previous years, and hopefully this is the year they can finally make a deep tournament run.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that was said is just quickly, three-point shooting. They've not been a great three-point shooting team over the last few years. Being able to expand and make the floor bigger. Iowa and Purdue with size is going to be a problem, but it's good to get off to a start like this early in the year, especially against a team like Alabama. I think they have a chance, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. That's fair.
And they made a magical run in the Big Ten tournament last year.
True.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. As long as they're formidable fashion come March, that seems to be the time when the Buckeyes look their best, play their best, perform at their best. It's really early. I mean, if you're going to be good now, that's great for your record, but let's stay healthy and let's just kind of keep consistency going with things like three-point shooting and see where we're at come next spring.
Did Indiana, when they went in 1976 or whatever, when they went undefeated, do you think they were like, don't worry about what we do in December and November?
That's very true.
Bobby Knight.
Yeah, Bobby Knight was.
I was just about to say. I was
choking dudes out.
They weren't allowed.
Yeah.
They weren't
Not a
allowed to
chance.
go that way. They weren't allowed to go that way.
But Mike makes a good point where college basketball is a little bit like baseball that I deal with. Seasons are so dang long that you got to be careful. Yeah, it's
Well, there's
just
three seasons. You got your regular, and then you got your conference
tournament.
then you got the big things.
Well, and that's what college basketball really comes down to right now is how do you make it through the marathon? And how do you motivate these 18, 19-year-olds to get that far? And literally, and this is, all right, for me, if I'm hosting a show and we're doing this isn't a timeout, we'll continue going. This is where you weave in something like the NBA tournament. Because as much, and I don't know how anybody feels about it, the NBA tournament right now, see, look at you. I'm glad we're doing this. The first week or whatever else.
We talked about it on the show
This is good.
a few weeks ago.
Why do you think they did it, though? Because exactly what we're talking about with college basketball. And I'm not saying it worked or didn't work, but last night you had TNT and ESPN working together with their people. What does that tell you? What the NBA's powerfulness of coming to the pocket of money and saying we have to make our product good before Christmas, because the average fan will tell you nobody watches the NBA until New Year's or until Christmas Day.
Right.
No one does.
Still the NFL.
But what they, and I text Nick Camino and I text every guy that does news locally, because they make these stupid, ugly courts that everybody is complaining about.
What is
Why?
with that?
See, boom, it
Get you talking.
gets us talking about it.
Yeah.
It gets the attention. They're giving $500,000 to each player that wins in this tournament. All I'm getting at is if you guys really pay attention to what's happening, we just said college basketball, nobody really pays attention to it until you get to a certain point in time.
Yeah.
NBA basketball, none of us really pay attention to it in October, November. But they got to get fans to go pay those ticket prices. They got to get people to pay the ticket. And a new TV deal is coming out after this season.
Yeah.
Therefore, watch. And I don't know anything. I'm just doing a show with you guys. TV deal time comes up next year, and they're going to say, hey, man, look at how we got so many more people to pay attention to basketball before Christmas.
Just look at those ugly courts.
Yes, because those courts made every sportscaster across America explain what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just weird, though, to see superstars coming off the bench up by 20, risking injury for a
Risking
cup
injury?
that doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
$500,000. You have LeBron James, a billionaire, say after a game last week, yeah, man, we try to get that money. Because what is the motivation like for all of us? And it's sad to say, but it's all a part of this. You put money, and these are guys that got billions, millions in the bank. You're like, hey, man, I'm going to give you $500,000 extra. Why, when they used to play the Pro Bowl and you actually used to hit each other, why would they kill each other in the fourth quarter?
And did you see last night that the
Funny.
Celtics had to beat the Bulls? But I
Yes,
think it was like
32 or 20 or whatever.
22
Yeah.
That's why the Cavs
And,
lost.
and they won by 27, and they were up by 25, and they were intentionally trying to
foul,
the
yes.
Bulls players so they could stay up by 22 and get into the
It's
tournament.
So you hated it, but see, you were paying attention to
It's
it.
like
We're talking about it now.
incentive for the players to keep
Playing and stop sitting out. Yes.
Yeah, and not resting.
Right.
Not resting. And now the pool to play is over with. Now they're going into the bracket.
And America, send this out. This is the best segment you'll have about the NBA tournament. Why?
And to think we were going to kill our NBA segment today. we
we
just did our NBA
We
segment.
revived it. It came alive. I love it.
You slid that in there.
I love it. You know, we talked about the floors a couple weeks ago on the show, and I thought they accidentally bought them wholesale and had to use them somehow.
It's like
I thought that's what happened.
76
They bought them in bulk and didn't realize, but that's okay.
It's not a good rent.
Right. But think about what they did, because you're right. He's absolutely right. They look so horrendous. But, like, that is great marketing in the background. I didn't like them either at first.
Yeah.
And then when you start, like, really dig – what did I tell you guys before we started the show? every time you see something, you got to dig a little bit further to find out what the real story is.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they did that to make us have conversations about it. Because if the NBA, because I still don't even know how this dang tournament works, to be completely honest.
It's like
They keep showing the standings.
there's the top
It
three,
goes-
and then the wild
it
card.
goes-
It makes no sense.
It goes in pool play. You play
Yes.
everyone in your pool, and then the top 2 teams.
The
get
Pacers
into
are
the bracket.
undefeated.
The
Yeah.
Cavs had a
Yeah.
3-1 record, and they still
They
didn't
make it. But here, what else did we start off with? We were talking about soccer.
Right.
Soccer, big UEFA, and I'm not a big soccer guy, but I'm learning, and I like it. My wife plays soccer in college. I'm learning more about it. I like some of the things about it, but that's how soccer has made soccer big. Why do those players make so much? Why do those players make so much money?
Yeah.
It's always
Because
Why is the biggest sport
always
in the world?
tournaments going
Why does
on.
Messi come over here and play for Miami? And it's absolutely ridiculous what people are paying for tickets and everything else in
Yeah.
America. So therefore, Big Bad America is learning from the European sports on how to take care of their own sports.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
And things are changing a little bit. I mean, the NBA in-season tournament, the format is almost as confusing as the MLS playoffs to me. It's like it's I don't quite get it, but it's okay. It's fun to watch. It's fine. It's
I
fine.
think the weirdest part is how I heard that the Cavs, because they didn't make the playoffs,
Yeah.
they're going to schedule 2 extra games. And I'm
Yeah, that's
thinking,
it. Yeah.
What's the point?
I'm thinking, like, now I'm really lost.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm lost
thinking
on
if this
that.
were football, like, the Steelers could use 2 or 3 extra games.
Well, they
How
gotta
does
play.
that
They
work?
gotta play. I think the way it works is, I think, don't quote me. They got to play 82 games for the regular season.
Yeah.
So they scheduled 80?
Well, yeah, 80-ish. Everybody's gonna play 82 games though, Mike.
Well, because
Right. You gotta play.
Because they
everybody
left
gonna play-
room, right? Yeah.
Right.
Parentheses 2.
Yeah, like we're gonna figure it out. So keep watching. They got. I almost used a cuss word, but I use. They're gonna have crappier courts coming up. Just yeah, that's why.
They have to go to the blacktop edition. Too.
Yeah.
Now that,
See? Yeah.
I like playing that more than the actual game.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
I will say, I love what the NBA's been doing, like with the playing tournament that they added a few years ago too.
Oh,
The
yeah.
in-season tournament. They came up with the All-Star draft. NBA just seems like they're constantly coming up with new ways to grab people in and bring them in and watch the sport. And that's why I think Adam Silver in
That's
the
why
NBA
he's the
is
most
like-
liked guy.
he's the
Woo!
most liked
Guy.
And the NBA has been the league that has gotten maybe the least amount of hate from its
Keep
fans.
bringing that smoke.
I mean,
You're taking us somewhere.
Yeah.
I work in Major League Baseball.
not a big.
And I'll be very
Your
careful.
people are big fans of it.
Baseball has fallen behind, and this is like you guys. NFL is his own animal. And
There will always be the
It's
biggest.
just-
There will
it is.
always be.
because we're animalistic and we like seeing
People
we're savages.
tackle
We
each
like,
other.
yeah, we like seeing the bang. That's just naturally who we are. We are like even my daughter at like 9 years old is like, I want to see somebody run. I'm like, no, settle down. Or 10, however old she is. But baseball has fallen behind, and you just hit on so many things in my opinion. And I work in it, and I love baseball. I love
It's my
everything
favorite
about
sport.
it.
Yeah.
It's mine too.
Yeah.
But our commissioner in the game, and I can say this, and I don't want to get in trouble. Baseball is an old white man's sport. I look right at the camera and said it. And that doesn't mean it's bad or wrong, but at some point in time, it's got to adapt to what
Has to.
your age, to people what your age, to people what kids. Like my kids grow up, they love baseball because they're close to it. They know Jose Ramirez and they know Josh Naylor.
right.
But the average 9-year-old, 11-year-old
Does
kid can't
not-
sit through a
they're not
3-hour
that close.
baseball. No, they can't sit through a 3-hour game. They don't understand. My kids like when the jerseys are like the different jerseys and different stuff like that. We as adults may laugh at certain things, but until baseball finds a way, and I don't know if it's tournaments, I don't know if it's weird fields, but you hit on why baseball has to do some things.
I
to
do
change.
love the rules that they implemented this year. I honestly do. I think the pitch clock has made the games faster paced, more enjoyable.
Made it more entertaining.
I definitely and the
Stolen
bigger
bases.
bases.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
so much more
Yes.
stolen bases here.
Yes.
And I love chaos.
Because it seemed like
Chaos on
stolen
the
bases
bases
wasn't
to
even
me-
a thing.
Right.
No, they were going extinct almost. It seemed like for a while, and then now this year, all of a sudden, at the highest rate it's been in years, he's got guys stealing 70+ bases with Ronald Acuna. And I honestly think it was a much better product this year. So I think Manfred does deserve it.
You're right. No, say it.
He does deserve some
He
credit.
does. He
But
does
he's-
deserve some credit.
He's got to go above
But
that.
to me,
Above
yes,
and beyond.
they got to keep coming up with new ways, like they did this past year, to get people more interested in baseball, just to keep it growing.
Do you worry about it becoming a gimmick though? Because I think all of us with the NBA stuff, look at Ben. I see you back there, B. I see. I think because all of us, when we first heard about the tournament in basketball, we were all like, "This is a gimmick."
Yeah.
And I think for us, and I'm just submitting as human beings, we don't always react well to change.
I call it
Right.
pizza
Nope.
party. for disgruntled employees.
Well, I mean,
that's how it was when they took away the pitcher in the National League. Some people were like, whoa,
yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, and this is all I'll leave on baseball because I know you kids don't like talking baseball.
I love baseball.
I love baseball.
I just think it's dope. We somehow
we can talk about baseball for
we
hours.
slid an NBA segment and a baseball segment after saying none of that. I love how we just.
This is a live show today. This isn't a sport. This is just a live show, man. We're good.
Man, this show's real.
But this is organically how this is how conversation really happens.
Yep.
And for me, I'm not an instructor of what sports talk should be and sound like. I've
Right.
done it for a very long time. I don't love what we do for sports talk in Cleveland, and I've told people that and you can ask Tony Rizzo now. I tell everybody that I deal with, I can't stand what we've turned talk radio into. Because if you go to a sports bar or if you're hanging out with your buddies, I get why you guys did this. I get why you guys do that. You absolutely should have structure.
Yeah.
But structure in real sports talk is just this. You organically explode through one thing into another.
Our problem, though, and I'm speaking for all of us, we're good at what we talk, so we end up with this 60 minutes that feels like 34 seconds.
Right, which is awesome. That means you guys.
It's like we're all just shooting fire and disagreeing and agreeing, and next, 60
and I
minutes
get
is
it,
up.
and that's all.
But there's 3 segments we didn't.
And that's awesome because then you put those in your back pocket and you always have those for the next time because that will come back around. My thing is that's helped me tremendously when it comes to this genre, and I love this genre. And I hate what ESPN has turned it into. And I hate that it's all like battling. I hate that it's battling. And I mean, if they pay me enough money, I'll go battle with Stephen A.
That's what I feel.
Yeah, I was going to say, please battle with Stephen A. Smith because I can't take some of his takes sometimes.
But you know what? He understands what
He
he's
got
doing.
into an argument over Lightning McQueen.
But you know what? Look, he's got us talking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Then that's the whole thing.
And then
what
ESPN posted who you got in a race.
Yeah, he had a race, and they build off of that.
Start bench cut.
Yes, but
Content creates itself when it's good.
When it's good. And my thing is, when you sit around with your buddies or you sit at a bar, you organically go through conversations differently. For me, when I land in a city, you know this, the first thing I want to do is I want to hear what the sports radio talk is in Dallas or what it is in New Jersey and in Boston. And the big cities are great cities that I've heard the best sports talk. I've been in Boston I've been in Fenway Park during a rain delay on the station that the Boston Red Sox play, and you will hear in one segment, you can hear them talking about who the Patriots are going to draft, who the Celtics are going to, they can talk all 3 teams. Mm-hmm. And this city that we live in right now gets so far behind by only talking about the Browns.
They
only talk about the Browns, and we're more than that. I like my NFL Sundays, but we're more than that. So don't dumb yourself down to just doing that because they tell you in this type of school you play the hits, right? It's one of the rules I always got from when I do radio. You got to play the hits. And what's happened to Cleveland Browns in this city, we've dumbed down our categories, and we're like, well, there's nothing to talk about. What do you think? Who's going to play quarterback for the Browns?
It's the biggest conversation. I've said this for years. I mean, so the Browns on Sundays when they play, I'm more invested in their games than I am Guardians games because there's so few of them and they matter so much more. I was a Guardians fan first. Baseball is my first love. They're still the team that I love the most dearly. And the way that they just don't get talked about on the radio sometimes.
I don't think a lot of people know. I think the people that are on the radio, and I tell them, and they want to fight me, and that's fine. Most of the people on radio don't know how to talk baseball.
No, they don't.
Baseball's a great sport to talk about, and
yes.
It is a sports city. It's
but listen, it's not just the radio. At places I've worked that aren't sports related, I've had trouble finding people to talk about baseball with. I mean,
really?
it doesn't exist.
Well, and I think baseball has done this, and it goes back to the whole conversation we're having. Baseball's done itself a disservice in thinking, well, we're America's pastime.
Yep.
We will always be spoken about.
Yeah. Too big to fail. Yeah.
Yes, and they're failing because, and I think this is for all of us in life. Don't ever rest your laurels upon I'm great at this, because at some point in time, if you don't continue working at it, continue selling it yourself and getting yourself better and getting a better vocabulary and reading about more things, you're going to get passed by as well. So let baseball be the thing that teaches us how to continue to grow.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Agreed. And I'll say one thing about baseball. I think, in my opinion, I think baseball is not going to go too many places until they can give kids, in these inner cities, someone that looks like them or something they can relate to. They need to have a reason to want to get there, right? Like there's not that right now.
Baseball's become a niche sport. It's become like hockey. It's expensive to play. You know, we used to hear people say, we don't see kids playing basketball on courts anymore. You don't see kids playing baseball anymore. Bats are expensive, gloves are expensive, shoes. It's like it's all expensive to play baseball.
Team fees, everything.
Yeah.
Travel baseball. I played so much growing up. Teams are like $2,000 a year to play.
Yeah, it's like
That's
how can you afford that?
Well, yeah, look at the College World Series. And I love baseball, so I can say this. We were on the team plane. We were on the Guardians team plane this year. And I won't say who, it was a white guy that said it. He goes, if you look at that, he goes, that's like the upper white class of America is the College Baseball World Series.
Yep.
No, there's no black people. There's no one that speaks Spanish.
It's boring.
It's all people that could afford to play that type of baseball to get to college baseball.
Right.
Yep.
How does that help the rest of our country?
No, it doesn't.
Grow.
It's interesting.
It doesn't.
Like, so the next time you watch a college baseball,
it's
just
true.
think about
It's
it.
true because
LSU team.
it's true because if they can't afford scholarships, then they're not going to be able to play.
And that's my next step. If baseball really truly cares, if Major League Baseball really truly cares and wants to grow the sport, Major League Baseball owners would all put $1 million down each and go to all the colleges and say, give full
scholarship fund.
Right.
You give full scholarships to baseball like you do for football. You give 100 to football, but you can't do 15 or 20 full scholarships for baseball. That's blasphemy.
Football's where all the
and even NIL deals too. Like NIL deals going for players who don't have scholarships,
right?
So they can pay for it.
Absolutely.
You know, and we saw it this past spring with the WBC. They should try and do that every single year to create more awareness, not only in the U.S. but around the world.
All right, now I got to push back with you, but you're right. I agree. I was in spring training during World Baseball Classic, and it was funny. We were at dinner, and my son, like at 8 years old, is like, "Dad, we got to go watch Canada and Mexico." People are looking at us like we're crazy, but like it was cool to watch that setting. Only problem is I had Dusty Baker tell me this, and God bless Dusty Baker, one of the best I've ever dealt with and talked to.
Oh yeah.
Most major league managers hated the World Baseball Classic. Why? Because it took their pitchers and their teams aren't together during spring training. So great idea, but get Major League Baseball to agree upon it.
I think if
they should try and move it to like after the World Series.
If they did it every year, I think they would lose more and more pitchers each year too. Because not every pitcher is not going to want to spend every single spring training being away and not getting on the normal.
We got to find a way. Every 2 years, I think it's every 3.
It's every 3. Right?
Every 3. Yeah, because that's what happened with Diaz with Team Puerto Rico.
Yeah, right. But to me,
has lost their closer.
The WBC was so fun to me to see guys who haven't gotten like their exposure yet too. Like Yamamoto, who's coming over in free agency, getting to see him pitch for Team Japan. Seeing Bo play for Team Canada, being able to seeing him go Appa. I'm like, I didn't know you
didn't know you could do that.
I only see him in minor leagues at the time. He had 8 at bats last year.
And even Anthony Santander for Venezuela. Like I had no idea who he was.
Former Cleveland.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Roll 5.
Yeah, Roll 5. Yeah, he's on his baseball stuff right
there. I could talk baseball for hours.
They are pretty much
we're the baseball team.
They talk baseball when there's nothing really active. They can make it go active.
Yeah, like we're stats junkies. So during the World Series, we were getting all the numbers on Corey Seager.
You should have heard my take. So
with these
go D-backs.
What I always remember with WBC was back in 202013, Vinny Pastano, Indians.
Never the same.
Never came back the same.
Flashback.
That's another thing
That's
that with the WBC. There's some guys who go there and it screws up their arm as pitchers. So that's one thing I always remember.
See who we just traded?
We got Barlow. I saw that.
Yeah, we got Barlow, but who do we trade?
Daniel.
Who did we give? Delo's all right. Delo did pitch.
Cal.
Oh yeah, Cal. Yeah, Cal.
And when he pitched last year.
WBC.
And what happened to him this season when he started?
Yeah.
And I mean, he was up and down on the injured list too.
Yeah, he was injured all year. He was basically he would come back for like a start, get hurt again, and go right back on the IL. He didn't find his form really.
It's not. Yeah, the World Baseball Classic is not a great setup for starting.
No, because I always.
It's tough.
It's such a hotbed for pitcher injuries. I feel like that's why they won't ever have it every single year.
Well, and starting pitchers are such creatures of habit anyway. I mean, they need their work to ramp up a certain way, and it's tough with the WBC. It's tough.
Absolutely, that's the only hang up with it. But I agree with you guys. We need more of it because nothing will top the last 3 pitches of the.
No, that was that was the best baseball moment of the season.
Yes, and before the season started.
I mean, I'd say you can debate that or Game 1 of the World Series are probably the 2 best, but. I mean, that's one of the most.
Jose hit to manage.
That's a
yeah. Well, you're right.
Those are probably top 3. Right?
The most viewed clip on YouTube of this 2023 baseball was the World Baseball Classic before the season even started.
It's funny how Trout had to adjust from 102, 87, and then he thought it was going to come again, but then it went right back to 87.
Shohei he's not normal.
No,
He's
not
not
at all.
human. He's not
Have
human.
you ever talked to him at all?
Yeah. All right. So, Jose, remember what Shohei said at the All-Star game last year? He's one of his favorite players. All right. When I went to Dominican last year with Jose, and I had written down questions. I asked Jose, what was it like being the age he was coming to America for the first time? Like, because he was like, he played in Dominican, and then they didn't bring him over here, and he moved to Eastlake. And
Yeah.
And so he laughed, and like in the little Spanish I know, the little English he knows
I
a
can
lot more
translate for
English.
you.
Okay, well, Trey, hey, seriously, learn how to translate is big right now.
Yeah.
We should all do that. I wish I would tell you guys, you want to, knowing multiple languages is big.
Oh yeah.
And Jose laughed, and I couldn't use this in our documentary because we didn't want to get him in trouble because he wasn't being racist in any sort of way, but he was like, bleep. He was like, man, I live with a Chinese guy, a Japanese guy, and a guy from Taiwan. He's like, nobody spoke English in our house. So he was like, so I'm living in Eastlake with with these white people that are just these nice white people that are just letting us in their home, but none of us speak English.
Yeah.
Right.
So Shohei loves Jose because Jose is brilliant enough and smart enough. And Jose, like he takes part of your language. He asks you, how do I say this? How do I say that? Usually cuss words. But because we're all kids in the bottom of our heart.
Yeah.
So Shohei loved him because when he met Shohei, he had about a paragraph he could say to him, kind of joking with him, kind of messing with him, and telling him to bleep off.
and that's the thing. Like I've always wondered. Jose has been in the league for a very long time. Why doesn't he want to learn English?
He does. Oh, because wait, see, that's all right. How old are you?
I'm 22.
All right. Would you you graduated high school? I'm guessing. Not
Yes.
put you on spot. Jose will tell you that he stopped going to school when he was about 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
Focus on baseball, and he will tell. And I've been with him. I was with him last year in Dominican. I've been here with him in Lorraine, different places. He tells kids nowadays, and don't go my way. He's like, God gifted me. God does not give this gift to everyone.
Right.
I made the mistake of stopping, but he was trying to make money for his family.
Yeah.
His
Right.
family needed the money at the time, and he would go play games with adults. I got in trouble. I didn't get in trouble for this, but it made the New York Times. This is not how you want to make the New York Times. But I told a story about how there were drug dealers or people of certain that would bet money on games, and they would have machetes behind, and they would have the money underneath the home plate. That's what he did at 12, 13 years old to make money to take home to his family.
Yeah.
So when I hear that question asked, because a lot of people ask that question, I would love to get off. I would love to get on a plane and fall into Mexico and know how to speak their language and stuff.
Right.
But everybody doesn't do it. I give Jose more credit than I give myself because Jose does know English. He knows how to, because this is where he's asked to live.
That's what
Think
I
about it. But see, and you know what? The home run pitch thing, I feel bad about. It's funny, and we all smile about it. But there's a certain segment of fans that take it as, like, they make Jose almost a joke. Like, a home run pitch. That dude is smart. That dude's one of the smartest baseball players on the whole field. But we only do that between him and I because we used to make fun of, we got an interpreter, this and that. Jose can. And most guys, I'll say this, most guys you see in a baseball setting doing those interviews with an interpreter, if you take a camera away and take all the lights away, they will have it. I talk to all these guys, but when you put that camera on, think about, would you want to do an interview in your third language or second language?
That's what I was going to say.
And they make fun of each other. And if you mess up, you go on Instagram. Like I can go on Instagram and I can show you where, like Carlos Santana, who I love him to pieces.
Yeah.
But Carlos gets made fun of by his countrymen because he speaks broken English and he won't use an interpreter. Now Carlos is old enough and just doesn't give a damn how you.
He's been in the league for a long time.
But there's a lot of younger guys that they don't like. I mean, think about it. You want to get on Instagram after your best game and have your countrymen mocking you.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why a lot of these guys don't.
I was gonna say, people always say that, like, oh, why don't, like, my dad always he would say, like, why is Jose, like, I've seen Jose speak English before. I know he can. A lot of them just use the interpreter because they're more comfortable that way.
Right.
And that's
And Andre too. Because I've spoken to him in English and Spanish.
Yeah, Heavy's awesome. But Heavy's young and he's learned it.
Right.
And Heavy's the next. This is something Major League Baseball is doing well. Like our old interpreter now is a teacher in the organization. She teaches, and she's helped me tremendously. Like I can text Anna right now and say, Anna, I need to know how to say this, and this in Spanish, and she'll be like, Dre, and she'll send me out a list, and like she's going to teach me Spanish. Baseball now is doing a better job of that, they should have been doing it for hundreds of years. Like Hemi is good at it because the Mets had English classes when he was coming up through their system.
Right.
The only reason this started, and I didn't know we were going on this tangent, is because when Japanese players started coming over in the late 90s, they were getting there was a stipend for them to have an interpreter. Mm-hmm. And finally, like 8 years ago, some of the Spanish-speaking guys were like, wait a minute. Why are Japanese players getting their own interpreter and you're paying them over $100,000 a year? Right. And you won't give one to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Angels, like with Shohei's interpreter Ippei, they brought him over with Shohei.
Right.
Japan.
And he's with him 24/7
everywhere you go.
Yeah.
But they don't do that with players from Dominican.
Yeah.
It's like,
Or even Puerto Rico too.
Right.
I was talking to my dad about it once. I mentioned my dad. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, give them some semblance of comfort here. You know, like you said, guys are,
Right.
stopping going to school at 11, 12 years old. They're in these baseball academies over there. They come over, they're living in a completely, I mean, literally a foreign environment.
Yes.
Give them some kind of semblance of just comfort. I mean, their own interpreter to come with them, right?
Yes. And I think we're finally getting there. And it goes back to our whole thing about why baseball is not one of the top three anymore, right?
Yeah.
All of this plays into it. And I think baseball's been behind a little bit in trying to catch up to where everybody else is at.
Well, baseball's really the only of the four major sports that you get this huge language barrier in it. Because football, it's mostly Americans. Basketball, I mean, there's Europeans. A lot of them do speak English, though. Baseball's really the sport where there's such a melting pot of languages and different cultures that all go into it. And that's honestly what I love about baseball is how much of a variety of people you get. And the different
I'm listening to y'all.
cultures
I might break some news on here while we're doing this.
Oh, okay.
Hey, while he's breaking news,
Come on, ref, breaking news. I love it.
while he's
We need a
seeing-
sound.
hey man, you let this grenade of a baseball topic happen.
He got a grenade.
I'm just wondering, like, exactly how much shrapnel are you gonna let fly around the room before we go to college football?
Let's go.
Because, like,
Let's
listen,
do it.
this is the most important topic: the conference championships. And you let
Ohio State to be
Hey, wait.
you
I'm
let
asking
the
simple.
baseball gods do this. to you?
Yeah.
Hey, you can't help it. You can't help it.
All right, let me ask a simple question. Who would hear that Ohio State should get rid of Day?
Me.
All right, tell me why. Why?
Why? First off, he's not produced in the biggest stages. He can't beat Michigan. The only reason he beat Michigan in, was it 2019?
Hey, man, go ahead. You gonna say because he uses somebody else's team.
Yes, that's the
Come on,
only reason.
He still was out there, dog. He still called the plays.
But it wasn't his recruits.
He was a part of it. All right, go ahead. I'll give you yours. Go
And
ahead.
then I think it's just
We're prisoners of our time.
he's not trusting. He didn't trust McCord that whole game.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest. McCord did not play his best.
No,
And to be honest, I think McCord is the worst quarterback we've had in a long time at Ohio State.
True.
But at the end of the day, you are hired to beat one team. You are hired to reach one goal. If
So
you
if
can't
they
beat
would have
that
went,
one
if
team,
they would have went 0-10 and beat Michigan, y'all would be cool right now.
See,
No,
this
no.
is
But that's the thing. You have that was basically a college football playoff game.
Yeah.
In its own right. So you can't beat Michigan. How do you expect to win the college football playoff?
Fair. All fair.
Well,
You're not-
listen, you lose to a top 3 team on the road. There's no shame in that by 6. I mean,
Thank
there's
you.
no shame.
You lose to a top 3 team on the road by what?
If you're a
By
championship,
by
if
3?
you're a
Yeah,
championship
6 points,
team, you
34, yeah.
Okay, but you lost to a championship team on the road.
Now,
Here's
I
what
we
you
don't
know
know that though. They
Here's
could be
the
a
thing.
Big Ten champion, but we don't know they're going to be a national
They're
champion.
they're a top 3 team, right?
What you have to
Does
ask is,
Michigan go to the national championship this year? Do they
Possibly.
get over that
Is
hump?
there-
wait.
Oh yeah.
You know, is Ohio State as a non-conference championship team? Is it possible? It's like, okay, we're not good enough to
They
win the
can get in.
conference. We're not good enough to win the conference,
But-
but we might be good enough to win the whole.
If
national
Oregon and
championship.
Florida
SEC do that every year.
Yeah.
Here's the
That's
thing.
true.
Alabama and Georgia do that every year.
Here's the thing. At the
It just
end of the
matters how the chips fall, really. There's no yes or no. There's no good answer for that. It just
Ohio
happens.
State is one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Oh,
Yes.
I can agree with
At
that.
this moment,
But I
I don't
also
even think
don't
they're
think-
6 right now.
Believe me, I do believe that. I also don't think that they should be in the playoff because that Michigan game was the playoff game. In my
But it
opinion,
wasn't.
that's
And
it.
yours.
a playoff in the season.
In my opinion, that game should have the stakes of a playoff game. In my opinion,
Okay.
I do believe that.
So does
I like
Alabama
that
and Auburn
the
have that
games-
same?
No, because Auburn's not that good.
But see, all right. See, this is all opinions. And it's
But
fine.
Texas beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
I know.
We act like we forget.
But it's like,
That's a good
in a
one.
way, it's like
That was a long time ago.
It was hot outside. I know.
That was like week 3 or something.
Right.
All right,
It was.
all right.
Me too.
All I want to say back to this is, and like, he's old enough to know, but like, how you guys will see this. We're prisoners of the moment.
Mhm.
I understand.
We have high expectations.
Yes, I understand the vileness and everything else. But, and look, I don't think it's okay to keep losing to Michigan. Don't anybody get that
I
biscuit
don't
straight.
like that eye test. We don't look as tough and physical and mean as
No, we
Michigan.
don't.
Now,
You know what I think?
Because they're pissed off because we kicked their
I don't
ass for
like
15
that.
years.
You know what
Like,
you know
that's
what
part of it.
I
That's
think
part of it.
some of the reason that us younger people are saying, "Oh, get rid
Because
of
you
McKinney,"
grew up with never seeing
I
Michigan beat
do
us.
not see. So
Yeah.
I was 8 when they lost in
We never
2011.
seen Ohio State fail. We never seen Ohio State
I
fail.
don't know.
I don't know John Cooper like I know John
No.
Cooper.
Yeah, I'm 44. I'm 44 years old. I saw those days. Like,
You
I
know
was
John
too,
Cooper,
yeah.
see? Yeah.
10-1, man. I remember it well. Like,
I've never seen them really lose to Michigan in my
Right,
life.
but this is part of it.
Amazing.
This is why the rivalry is the rivalry.
Yeah.
We should have this great expectation for it. We don't have to like it,
Yeah.
but part of Bo Schembechler lost all the time to
Yeah,
Ohio
he
State.
did.
Earl Bruce was a terrible coach, but he beat Michigan. And now
Yeah.
that, like Earl Bruce, before he died, rest his soul, he could walk around Columbus and he never paid for a meal.
Right.
And he probably was like he probably went 7
And
and
then on
4
the-
every year.
On the other hand, there's like Lloyd Carr was a great coach, but he couldn't.
Can't
beat
spell
us.
Lloyd without an L.
He couldn't beat us. He lost to Jim Tressel almost every
Yeah,
time, but he was a really good coach.
The good news about all this is this year it's about in and out. Next year it's going to be about seeding.
Yeah,
Same
we're going to
sure
be in
is.
next year.
Same
Yes.
conversation.
It will be in next year.
It'll be about seeding. And next year we even get the opportunity to see Ohio State, Michigan, Big Ten
We could
champion.
get 3 rounds.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't think they can handle that.
It could be like Washington and Oregon this year. There was a 12-man playoff.
Yeah.
Say Oregon
It
beat
could
Washington,
come down
and they
come
beat
back.
each other again in the
But
playoffs.
all right.
We could come down to Ohio State versus Michigan for the whole thing.
the sports world would crumble. I mean, it would fall apart.
Yes,
In the
yes.
best way. In the best way, it would fall apart. It would
Yes,
be
you're right. SEC country would loot their heads would
It
pop
would, it
off.
would cave
Yep.
in.
Their heads would pop off.
Absolutely.
If they had to watch our football 3 times, I don't like. Is that where we're really going with all this?
I really
stuff,
don't
honestly?
want that. I
I
don't want
mean,
3 times
remember,
in 1 year. I don't
next
want
season-
that. That would lose the
would lose some
the,
of
the flair.
Yeah,
if
it
it's
would.
3 times.
Next
in 1
season,
season.
the higher
They-
seed has home
Home field the first
advantage.
round too. Yeah.
They're saying who would you replace Day with?
Yeah, who
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Mike Vrabel.
People are saying Mike Vrabel. No,
Hey man, I got hit by Mike Vrabel. Time out story with Andre
At
time.
Walsh.
Yeah.
Story with Andre
time, real quick. So Mike Vrabel was a senior my freshman year. We don't got to get in my exploits. I was lucky enough, and saying you don't play before LeBron. A lot of freshmen didn't get to play varsity football, so I got called up to play varsity football against Walsh. It was our big rival. I'm going quick because this story tells you all you need to know about Mike Vrabel. He was a DN outside linebacker. Was defensive player of the year his senior year. Cameron Pooler shot to Cam. His daughter's doing great. Got daughters all over the place. She's doing great as a coach at Talmadge Field.
Cameron
Pooler. He went to Rhode Island. He was
Cameron.
a starting running back for St. V. When I got there,
Mhm.
so I got called up as a running back, but I couldn't play because Cameron Pooler was a starting running back, so I had to play on wide receiver. So it's our last game of the season. We're playing against Walsh. Everybody knows who Vrabel is at the time because he is what he's getting ready to go to Ohio State. I come in the game and coach tells me to play. Coach says to play my ear. I'm running in. I'm nervous as get out. Pants are probably too big. I probably look like a little kid running out in the field. And Vrabel goes to me, and excuse my French, but I'm going to keep it somewhat clean. He goes, if you try to chop block me, I'm going to kick your ass. I literally get to our quarterback, and I can't even say the play. And he was like, pitch? And I was like, yeah. So I go out to wide receiver. I'm out wide. And Vrabel looks out at me. He goes, if you try to cut me, I'm going to – you go out and feel it in the words.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I come in motion. And he was like, I see you. And literally we pitch it to Cam Pooler. I go to cut block him. He steps on top of me and literally puts the back of his knee in the back of my neck and almost takes out all the air of it. Steps on top of me, makes a tackle for a 4-yard loss. And he stands up and he goes, I bleeping told you not to get in my way. And that was my first varsity football play. Like Vrabel.
And now
Our
doubling
memory.
down.
That's a heck of a memory.
Mike Vrabel was
You had
doubling down on that.
Mike Vrabel would be my dream hire. It's just I don't think it's realistic right now. I don't think he's leaving.
I'll tell you what.
That's
Like,
a-
I mean,
Go
go
ahead,
wrong.
but-
Ryan Day,
I don't
coach.
think
I
I
think they're not fired.
Okay, which
But-
They're not.
Go far him if he
so
was
here's
his
the
fourth
thing.
in a road to Michigan.
With Ryan
get
Day,
Ben in there. Get Ben in there.
with Ryan Day, you look at every single Urban Meyer team. What were we known for? Toughness,
Physical.
and toughness.
That's the-
Under Ryan Day, the only time I've ever seen us be physical and tough was Notre Dame.
Post-game.
I don't think.
Also, that
Here's the thing.
2018
That was their
Clemson
toughest
playoff.
moment of the
I don't
season.
think. I don't think Lou Holtz is wrong.
I don't think
I'm
Lou Holtz
saying
is wrong
he's-
either.
I don't
And
know.
Not
that's what I'm
now.
saying. I think Mike Vrabel would be the perfect coach because Tennessee is a hard-nosed football team. They're 3-7, but
You're right.
they
You're
can
right.
pound you into the ground.
I don't disagree. All right, Mike Vrabel, okay.
He'd be the dream hire.
But Mike Vrabel, and Vrabel, his dad's a principal locally. I'm a Vrabel fan. I'm all for it. Hell, I might get on the staff if I work it out right. My thing is this, because you're right about Day. Day can't call. Day's an offensive guy, kind of like Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, you're talking about the Browns.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh has made them more physical, and they're getting all their linemen from St. Ed's.
Yes, yeah.
So mind you, they got their own little pipeline going too, and we've lost our line from Glenville.
Yeah.
So to me, what's happened? Here's the thing that I see that's changed with Ohio State that scares me a little bit. And I was recruited by Jim Tressel. I know Tressel a little bit. I know Urban a little bit as well. Not that we're fans or friends or anything of that. But those two with their Ohio ties, and Urban kind of screwed this up. But we used to have half our roster Ohio kids that understand the rivalry.
Yeah.
When Urban came, we became a national recruiting.
California.
No, we became a national recruit.
Yeah.
So now we have kids that are recruiting wise. Maybe we got better recruiting classes, but we don't
They
have
understand
Ohio
rivalry,
kids
yeah,
that
yeah.
understand.
Did you hear what McCord said earlier in the week?
Yeah.
He said it's just another game. You don't really want your quarterback. I can't remember a
It
time where our
used to
quarterback
literally
had
be
said
Ohio
that.
versus Michigan.
JT Barrett used to come out and say how much it
Right.
would mean to them to beat Michigan.
And here's the thing, look, but and you're right, but see, and I think this comes down from the top. Because JT Barrett was from New Orleans or wherever he wasn't from Ohio, Texas. I'm sorry, Texas.
Yeah.
McCord, and I think when you played for Tressel, you played for Urban, they told you like every week you did something to prepare for Michigan. I don't know what Day is doing today, but like there's a difference from Ohio guy
He's
constantly
putting
saying
blue
this
and
is
yellow
the
tape on their helmet.
Right.
Here's the thing.
But what's that
Here's the
gonna
thing.
do?
Ryan Day says we built up the entire season to beat Michigan. Okay, you've lost the last 3 years. Do you really think the game's that important? If you're saying we have it in our locker room, beat
Right.
TTUN,
Yeah.
but yet you can't beat them.
And can we stop with all that crossing out M's? And
Yeah,
T's?
just say Michigan. I mean, come on. Say Michigan. It's fine. University of Michigan.
Like 6-year-olds, stop that.
Here's what I'm saying. I don't think we should do it until we beat them again.
And Andre, to your point,
Honestly,
I wanted to say I saw a breakdown of just the Ohio guys by roster, like on Tressel's championship team. There were like 83 guys from Ohio or something on the roster, a ridiculous number.
Wow.
With Urban Meyer's, it was like I think with his championship, Urban Meyer had like 61 guys from Ohio, and now this past Ohio State team this year had like 41 or 42 guys. So it's like it's dwindling, you know. And I mean, to your point, maybe there is something there.
I think there is.
I do too. I definitely.
At the end of the day, it depends really how long the university is going to wait. Like, because you can only wait so long.
Yeah.
To me,
Got a new AD coming
to
in.
me, this offseason there has to be
true.
something. Whether it's at quarterback, whether it's at,
I
I don't think it's going to be head coach. But to me, you can't go into next year with no. With McCord as your quarterback, Day as your coach. Like you can't with all of the things the same. There has to be some
So
sort of
McCord
change.
can't get better.
I think
He
can, but all right.
Not
Who
by
do you
that
think
much.
they're gonna
though.
play?
Not by that much.
McCord, Lincoln Kilos, or Aaron Nolan.
Here's the thing.
Somebody
Looking at transfer
Yeah.
portal.
Aaron Nolan's not going to play as a true freshman.
Washington
Not there
State, Cam Ward.
Yeah,
is a
Ward,
big-
yeah, he's from Arizona.
Here's the thing.
He apparently has 7 offers of $1 million or more to come play for different.
This ain't
schools.
college sports no more.
No, it's not.
It's
That's
free
supposed to be on the
agency.
low.
It's
So
free
some people-
agency.
Back in the day, I used to know when Eddie George was driving the same Blazer, they passed down through the guys. And that was illegal, but they kept it on the low.
This kind of stuff came in McDonald's bags back in the day. Now it's
Right.
out in the open.
I liked it better when it was like that, man. It's like
Right.
gambling being illegal. I like going to this like local little barbershop and get my little.
back
Yeah, I had the back room.
I lived on the same floor as Dan Wilkinson in college.
They had a nice car, didn't he?
He said he had a Hummer or something.
Yes, they all had. They like I should not be doing this. They used to pass down a big time car in Ohio State.
Nick, like you said, I think change needs to happen, and I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is Ryan Day has to stop calling plays and become an actual head coach.
But if you look, his play calling might be the
The
best.
play calling is what got him there.
Yeah.
Play calling's what got him there.
Same like Stefanski. Same. I hear people saying about Stefanski. Well, what's Stefanski if he ain't calling plays? That's how he got his
Stefanski's
job.
got in the hat.
No,
now.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I agree with you. Yes, it got him there, but he hasn't been able to win big games with his play calling
I don't think
because,
it's
like
play
Max said,
calling.
he doesn't trust his quarterbacks in the biggest moment, except for
He
CJ
trusts
Stroud. Except for
Trusted
Stroud against Georgia. But when's the last time he trusted a quarterback and
Fields
fully put
versus
the
Clemson.
offense?
But Ben, is that on him or is that on the quarterback though?
Quarterback.
I mean, I think it's a fair question.
Now, do you think he needs somebody with more experience up in the press box telling him what's going on so he can make the adjustment.
Possibly. I think that's the other thing we've watched, and I'm not an apologist for Day, but I will say you're watching like Harbaugh's dad was a coach, his brother's a coach. He's been in the game his whole life. Day as a head coach, like he became a head coach at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like so, I'm not making excuses, but it's a realistic thing. For Harbaugh, this like the Ohio State Michigan game it's every November. Like every Thanksgiving, this is what we do. For Day, it takes time to catch up to that.
And that's indoctrination by fire, by the way. Like
absolutely.
When you come in at Ohio State, like that'll make your hair turn gray.
Exactly.
Jim Harbaugh's coached in a Super Bowl before. Like Jim Harbaugh's coached all these huge.
Jim Harbaugh's a
games.
crazy man too.
He
I got
is,
good
he
stories
is.
about him.
He seems like a
But God bless
wild
him. Hey, all I'll say about this Michigan stuff. Hey, every time Michigan's been great, it's taken a lot of great Ohioans to help them, including bullshit back from Barber in Ohio.
That's true.
Putting Ricky Powers
Jim
back
Harbaugh's
in
born in
Ohio. This has
Ohio,
been
too.
going on for decades.
Charles Woodson. I mean,
Charles
Woodson.
Charles
That
Woodson from
robot
Ohio?
from St. Ed's, that one giant
Where's Charles Woodson?
He's from Sylvania, Fremont, Ohio.
Oh,
Fremont. We're purple.
I
played against Massillon the week before he did. You don't remember this. So I went for like 200 yards against Massillon. I had like 3 touchdowns. And everybody's like against Massillon, you're going anywhere you want. So I'm feeling all good about myself. Next week, Charles Woodson plays and goes for 420. And I realized at that moment in time, I wasn't going to be as good as Charles Woodson.
I never realized.
That was my junior year, yes.
I never realized he went to Fremont. I've wrestled him multiple times.
He was on the beats. They just named the road after him.
Always, for me as a kid growing up, Jake Flatt from he's a Columbus.
Yeah, but
would kill
he
us.
does TV now
Nothing
for
does
Big
it.
Ten.
He plays on Big Ten Network. He called up Minnesota.
He's really big on social media.
Yeah, he is. He talked about how Urban Meyer was recruiting him and how he said during the visit, Urban Meyer said one wrong thing and he says, "I'm going to Michigan."
Really? Urban Meyer says, I'll come and do this. I got all kinds of stories.
I don't know.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know what needs to change with Ohio State, but hopefully we get back on track.
You're not going to win every game. All I said to close this up, whether it's Michigan or Ohio State.
And people give Day a hard time because he's 1-6 against top 5 teams or something. And I'm like, it's almost like top 5 teams are really good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
I mean, people ask why James Franklin still has a job.
Yeah,
That's right.
But it's not the who. It's not the who or the what. It's the when.
But I go back to but Ben just made a good point, and I had to say this the other day. Who the hell else is going to – anybody been to Penn State? Who the hell else is going to sell Penn State to kids nowadays? No offense to it. It's a beautiful campus, but it's around nothing. So when you talk about who you have to recruit, who you have to bring in, what James Franklin is doing is unbelievable.
He's like a Parsons,
Saquon
Penn State hired.
He did the same thing at Vanderbilt. There was no reason to go to Vanderbilt to play football.
Hell, Vanderbilt has some bad situations.
And
He's had to go to 2 situations that were really bad.
Penn State has a ghost problem on campus. So there's all types.
They got a ghost problem?
You heard me right.
It's Saquon Barkley and Micah Parsons, or their
They got ghosts. They got ghosts.
If you Google right now, Penn State paranormal, there's a list, bro. They got ghost problems on campus.
I thought you were talking about the Whiteouts. I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought he was in the White House.
They had a whole show, Paranormal State with Ryan. He was a student. He started a club. They'd go to other people that had paranormal issues, but it was based in Penn State. But Penn State has a ghost problem.
It's funny, when we travel on the road, there's a hotel in Milwaukee.
I've heard about
Yeah, look at that. And they tell you that it has ghosts. And like there's certain dudes that won't go to the hotel.
certain players on the team.
Yeah, I just got drunk, went to my room and figured it was just how it usually was.
Any Guardians that are scared of ghosts?
Some look forward to.
Oh,
There's certain guys that want to go there and they want it to happen. I hear
That's a first.
Yeah. The breaking news that I may have or may not have, I haven't had it. Let me see. Michael Brantley may be retiring. I'm texting.
Oh, okay, that's sad.
No, I'm texting with him right now. He's giving me the runaround. But
There you go.
great life.
I
He-
love
he-
Michael.
Possible breaking news on Come On Ref. There you go. Michael Brantley.
Dad, growing up, taught me. He said, "Watch Mike. If you want to learn how to hit, watch Michael Brantley. He was
one of our best hitters on the
consistent.
team.
He was the most solid, consistent hitter. His swing was so
Swing's the
simple.
same every time.
Just
That's
He
why they
barrels
call him-
everything up. I mean,
I will forever love Michael.
That's the thing I was like. He's had a great career, but the 2 things I was upset for him is he didn't get to play in the World Series, and when he left to go sign at Houston.
I custom. You should see my text messages. I love him. Here's the thing about Michael that's great. Because of what you guys have said as a hitter, I would go to him and I'd be like, all right, well, if this guy's throwing 98, what do you do? And he, to me, you use this in life. Like when I find things that work in sports, they usually work in life. Yeah. And Brant looked at me and said, Dre, I don't give a bleep if he's throwing 100 or if he's throwing 80. I got to have my barrel here when the ball goes over the back, over here.
Right.
Because if I concentrate on that and not worrying about what hand he's throwing with, not worrying about how hard he's throwing, and I just time it up and not get caught up in all that other stuff, I'm going to succeed more than I'm not going to succeed. And I think that's the perfect thing in life.
I want to say something on that. I don't know if you
control what you can control, I guess. Yeah.
Control.
I don't know if you guys have seen the interview with Rajai Davis, but Rajai Davis said that that's something Michael Brantley taught him is that he's like Rajai Davis is like, I don't care who's throwing. He's like, I know that I have to get my bat here.
Barrel's got to be here
when the ball comes. And sure enough, he hits probably the most
electric
home run.
How much fun was that home run, by the way, in that moment, man? That was wild.
Dude, that's one of the top 3 moments of my career, just moments of being in the studio, being in a place.
And I'm a Braves fan, but I was jumping, screaming, man. I loved that. That was great.
I have a question. Did you? I don't know what your angle was. Did you think any of that Kip foul?
Kip, I thought it was because it was in my normal angle. I was down in it. It felt like it. And my angle, it felt like. But I watched the hitter. I always know the hitter gives you like the response that you need to know. Mm-hmm. And Kip's first step out of the box, it looked like when he came together, not knew it wasn't.
I thought on TV, I felt like.
The one that's going to hurt me more than Brantley is Carlos Santana. He's my favorite player.
Los is, my wife owns a business working with kids with special needs. And the Indians Guardians have been great in helping give tickets to families with special needs and things of that nature. And you never know how people feel about being around kids with special needs.
Right.
And I say this anytime there's a camera and microphone on. The first time my wife's company brought down groups of kids, I went into the clubhouse and I kind of explained like I explained to you guys. I was like, hey, does anybody want to come out and just say hi? Carlos Santana came out, hugged every kid, took pictures with every kid. This year in Pittsburgh, I don't got no reason to make this up. I walk into the I'm on the field. Carlos Santana sees me. Papi! Runs over, hugs me. And like we talk about family life. And then he goes, wife need anything for kids? And he signs 2 or 3 bats for my wife to give away.
Nice.
Carlos Santana.
He's the
good people.
He's the first player I met at Akron when they were still the Arrows. I have a picture with him. And it's kind of a full circle moment. I played baseball growing up and was always a leadoff hitter. And it got to the point where my dad started calling me Carlos Santana because I would walk all the time and I'd always get on base. And
would you squint even though you don't need to squint in between pitches?
Well, I used to not wear glasses when I was pitching. So
you were squinting.
So the ball coming out, I'm like, is that a ball or a strike? And I'm like, oh crap, I got to squint.
Those are the scariest pitches where you're like, he can't even see what he's doing.
Yeah, right.
We'll say this about Santana, man. I played baseball for a long time. A pitcher. Catchers are special people, man. Like
no.
They're just special people.
He did everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we stuck that dude in left field in the World Series.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey,
Catchers are nails, man. I mean, every time.
Hey, look, man, we've hit our hour mark, so I'm not sure how many minutes is left in today's situation.
No, you're good. You're good. And listen, I didn't want to cut it short, but we do probably need to get out of here. And I wanted to say this too. I had something real quick. If you guys want to catch up with 5-time Emmy winner, Mr. Andre Knott, listen, like Jackson said before, he's on Fox 8 as a sports contributor. Of course, you can find him on Valley Sports or whatever it's going to be that covers the Guardians. I don't know. Who really knows there? But yeah, A to Z podcast with Zach Jackson as well. He's on that.
We got to bring that back.
Yeah, you can follow him on X at Dre Knott. You can get him on Instagram also at Dre Knott. Wanted to tell you guys that. We thank you so much for being on the show today. You have no idea how much we appreciate it. We hope you come back.
You better shout out Maslin over Hoban because he's a St. V guy, so he don't feel Hoban either.
Okay, Maslin over Hoban tomorrow night for the state championship. I love it.
Hey man, both of them offered me houses when I was in high school. Out there ain't no game. That's player hate.
I honestly think Maslin's going to win that game because they beat
what?
this year.
You really think
they beat Edge by 3.
I don't like talking about high school kids. But I know too much. The quarterback's name is the one.
I'm going with Maslin.
I haven't followed high school football.
This is the best Maslin's
I haven't followed high school football that much this year, but based off the stats and the information that I've seen on paper, I think Maslin should win.
This is the best Maslin.
It'd be the first time Maslin ever won a championship.
A real one.
Thank you.
But actually,
I gotta say, I actually, and this is a blessing in life, and I want you guys all to get to where I got. Like I went and worked I only worked one high school weekend this year. And one of my favorite jobs used to be was doing high school football.
STO.
Oh yeah, I loved it. I would love to have it.
Oh
back.
yeah.
And
That's
it's a funny story. I'll tell you guys in a second. But I went and covered for Fox 8. I did the Ed's Hoban game. Dude, it looked like Ohio State, Michigan. How big the guys are.
Oh, yeah.
These
They're
dudes
giants.
Yeah, this
I
year.
saw massive
Everybody
heads.
300 across.
Those that
They're
that
306
my brother goes to Ed's and he talks to those guys and he says he literally does this. He goes, "What's going on?"
All right.
He literally just stares up at them because
Oh,
they're
yeah,
so
And here's the
big.
but here's the craziest thing out of all that. Hoban was beat up against Ed's because they played against Glenville. And they told me, and I got buddies that got kids on Glenville's team. Glenville Hoban was the most physical football game. They both kicked the crap.
Glenville's always physical.
I've covered Glenville 2 games. I covered for Right About High School Sports for Keon Sports. I've covered 2 of Glenville's playoff games. They are huge. They're Division 4 too. They should have no business being in Division 4. I've covered the Perkins game
They're tight ends.
in their Shelby game, and they just run. They have the running back Deshaunte Jones. He is 5'11", 240, and is impossible to tackle.
Thighs are like.
Yeah. They have a 6'4" receiver on the outside. Demarion Witness can get to Ohio State.
His dad works with me.
And they are they're so good.
Hey, look,
I
I appreciate everyone's excitement. We should probably let Chad QB and wrap it up so we can just talk to Dre off the cams.
All I'll say on the cams is this. Thank you guys for having me. Keep believing in your dream. Don't let anybody take your dream away. It's very easy in this business, and I mean this. It's very easy in this business to have family members or friends go, "Oh, you can't do that," or "You can't." Don't let that ever discourage you. Work and give yourself the true chance to do it. That doesn't mean everything's going to happen overnight. It doesn't happen for anyone overnight. But if you believe in your dream and you go about the right way, we all can have a dream and we can all fulfill it. Don't let anybody kill your dreams. Treat people the right way. Good things will happen to you.
One thing before you leave, it's a famous quote from Messi. He said, "It took me 20 years to become an overnight success."
Hey, dead on. It took me 20 years to be a little bit of a success. It's a great quote. I might get that tatted on the chest.
I'm sure your wife will love that.
Yeah. She likes that.
That's it. Well, again, listen, Andre, thanks so much for being on the show. For everybody, for the normal crew, for Jackson, for Nick, for Jared, for Max. And I'm so thankful that we didn't get through an entire episode without some mention of Max's family. I'm super happy about that.
Your dad, his
I mentioned my dad.
His dad and his brother got here. Way to go, Max. We're all love your family, man.
And for everybody that helps us produce the show, we appreciate you guys so much too. And for all the viewers, thanks for watching. Again, I gave you all the info. I can't imagine anybody knows us and doesn't know who Andre Knott is, but in case you want to follow him, you've got all the social media stuff there. Again, just we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, come on, ref, put you on the mountain.
That's great. Put you on the map.
Funny story
You
about
never know where it's my beach.
Oh, we're still
Don't
going.
cuss yet.